Aha! Here I am. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to BBC Spews. Hang on, shut up, you. What's this? Let's share this instead. Labour is telling lies. Aggressively so. Who's in? Loads of you already. Crikey. We've come a long way in 5 years, haven't we? Although, no, it's been 6, I think, since I started doing this malarkey. Ahoy, shipmates, booketeers, and important people with green next to the name. Let's have a look. Trevor Harris is in. How you doing? John Hunter, now then. Joe, thanks for coming. Kevin the Bastard, love that name. Oh, he's having a drink in the garden. I'm jealous. You know, I like to drink vicariously through others. Ams is in, now then. Resistant Geordies too hot. Well, it's perfect out here. Not only is it sunny when it's winter, it's cool when it's summer. It's perfect out here. That's why New Scum taxes the plums off you for living here. What a wanker. Trevor Harris, now then. Who else? That's about it. Thanks to Ragnar for moderating, as usual. And anybody else who's watching around the bazaars. This is great, isn't it? Labour is giving more power to our regions. You know what that skyline's missing? Missing a few of them golden bell end churches that Alan's lads like to hang about in, innit? There's a t-shirt, by the way. In fact, in order to celebrate this glorious achievement that I've now sold 100 t-shirts in my Dashery store, I'm going to give one away. So the best comment from a channel member at the end of the stream, as to be judged by me, will win this marvellous Alan Snack Bar t-shirt in whichever colour they like. So send me your details when I shout your name out and your size and what colour you want it. And I'll wing one to you because, yeah, look at that. I've got 72,000 subs. I'm getting the big bucks now. I can give presents away. Right, so this is great. Labour, what was the tweet? Labour is bringing decision making closer to you, where it belongs. Really? I feel like the average working class Englishman has been against mass immigration for 20, 25 years. Remember when Peter Mandelson and Tony Blair said we got it wrong? Maybe we shouldn't have let 20 million scruffy twats from all around the world move in. Feels to me like they're not really listening, are they? But what do I know? Oh yeah, there we go. We have a winner. No, don't put that up on the screen. They don't like that in Silicon Valley. You know why they don't like it in Silicon Valley? Because there's none. There's none there. Never hear the call to prayer in Silicon Valley. Guarantee you that. It's the same old shit, isn't it? I bet Angela Merkel doesn't have 40 Somalians living on her street. I bet you she doesn't get catcalled. Oh, Christ, she wouldn't have got catcalled when she was 20. She has got a face like a yak licking piss off a thistle. But, yeah, the only people who like multi-culty are the only people who have absolutely not even any slight exposure to it. Like the people, do you remember when they were trying to undo the perfectly legitimate Brexit referendum and there was like 5 middle-class women, Guardian readers, at a protest? Because remember, they've all got speech impediments. We've got to go to a protest outside Marxie's, and they were sat on a cashmere blanket outside Marxie's getting interviewed by the BBC, drinking like they made a point of it, like proper French champagne and like Dutch cheese and, you know, Italian whatever it was, smoking them French tabs that smell like death. And they were there saying, oh, you know, we just feel like everybody's better when they're all in it together. Well, we're not in it together, are we? We're not in it together. Because you live in a £600,000 house in a leafy shire, and I live in a council estate in Middlesbrough that's been filled with the scum of the earth from the armpit regions of the armpit continent of the planet. So, you don't know what you're talking about, do you? As usual, the only people who extol the virtues of living in a multicultural society never ever see any of these people. So obviously that's why I said, stick a few more golden bell end churches on that skyline, you bigoted bastards, because that's what they're doing here. They present the idyllic, which I keep telling you, which is why I get so furious about it. In all the graphics, they present an iconic image of England that doesn't exist anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. There's like 2 churches on that skyline. And all these nice old-fashioned, sort of Edwardian houses. They know what we like. This is what I'm saying to you. This is why they're scum. They know what we like. And they give us the exact opposite because they hate you. It's on purpose. Do you think anyone with eyeballs that aren't painted on looks at something like York Minster and says, ugh, that's hideous. That's hideous, that. St. Paul's Cathedral, let's have a nice big manky glass dildo in the middle of the town. Everyone's going to love that. No, they don't. Nobody is deluding themselves. You do it on purpose. They know what you like. You like what England looked like 50 years ago. So that's not what you're getting. You're getting golden bell-end churches and slums and weird brutalist square things that nobody with half a brain wants to look at. It's on purpose. Roger Scruton, God rest him, he started saying, we need to build buildings that look like they did in the old days. And that's what people like. And then they sacked him. Again, it's the cowardice. I hate the Tories. I hate the Tories so much. I hate them. It's this is what I keep telling you about Al Jezza. At least Jezza, we all knew he did exactly what it said on the tin, Jezza. We knew exactly what the crack was. And poor Al Jezza, his politics haven't moved forward for decades. So what do you expect Jezza to do when he gets into power? Oh, Grasshoppers only give you 5 Angry Bootneck memberships, you lucky devils. He's spoiling you. He's spoiling you. Snap them up. And then don't renew them when they run out, you tight bastards. Resistant Geordie, I'm starting to graft down Redcar Steelworks in 2 weeks' time. Oh, aye, nice one. Gonna buy one of your shirts and wear it proudly doing it. Get it done, son. Get it done. I used to work down there years ago. To be honest, I worked there as a teenager for about a year before I joined the Corps. I didn't even think they still had any business down there. I thought all of that was finished after 25 years of these fucking idiots running the show. So who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I hope there's still some work going on down there. Maybe you'll get it'll be like you and 2 other Geordies stood in the world's smallest steel shed. You'll be in a steel shed doing 3 pounds of iron every 2 weeks. It's quite a shambolic state of affairs. But it's on purpose. That's what I'm saying. This doesn't exist anymore. They know that's what you like, which is why they're gobbing off about it and advertising it. And that's the way of it, because it's done on purpose, out of spite. And they told you it was done on purpose, out of spite. In fact, I wonder if it's still up. Let's have a look. I'm going to segue into this. Peter Mandelson, search parties for immigrants. I wonder if it's still up. Let's have a look. There we are, it is. There you go. Still up. Oh, what a rat he is. What a rat he is. And what a pervert, degenerate freak he is as well. Labour sent out search parties for immigrants. And they said it was to rub the right nose in it. That's what I'm telling you. They did it on purpose. Out of spite and naked hatred. They knew that you'd hate it. So they did it anyway. Because you're not an effete, upper class, communist, revolutionary. So they did it on purpose. Did it on purpose, all of it. Rub your nose in it. And that's why they put out tweets like that. That's why they put out tweets like that. Because they know that's what you like. And they know you're giving the exact opposite. And the other thing is, this story's from 2013, look. So if Labour admitted they'd created a problem for British people 20 years ago, why are we still here in 2025 And Boris Johnson brought 1 million scruffy twats in a year. Why? Oh, yeah, because it's all on purpose. Because the people who run the show are wankers. That's why. Anyway, shall we do some actual news? Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to plug into a VPN to get the BBC on, and I can't. Because once you've started, if I plug into my VPN, it'll disconnect you. So I can't show you the BBC on the BBC Spews. I didn't think of that. Good job I haven't got the BBC media asset up, have I? Yeah, it doesn't count because I didn't put that up. So it doesn't matter, does it? We're not doing the BBC Spews today because we can't. This will just have to be, hang on, too much shit on here. This will just have to be a random stream because, yeah, I can't put the BBC on. I've just realised. I just tried to because I don't know if you heard this, but, well, I'll show you. That's what I get now. When I try to read the BBC, I get that, look. Piss off. I get an Apple advert and then you have to subscribe to read it. I suppose I could refresh it every 2 seconds. Let's go. The Sun newspaper. The Sun newspaper. Just eat. There you go. It doesn't work. So we can't read this whole story. However, let's not be perturbed by it. I can read you the headline and then I can extrapolate exactly what the BBC would say anyway, because they are completely unoriginal in everything they say. It's just the same boring, trite, left-wing codwallop that we've heard 1,000 times before. This was the story I was going to show you. Minister to meet food delivery firms over reports of illegal workers. Yeah, and do absolutely sweet FA about it. As usual. This is the crack, right? So, back to what I've just been saying. You know, they always said the war on drugs had been lost. And it was a fiction. Because they won us all. Again, it just shows how conservative I've got in my old age. It was a fiction, wasn't it? The reason they told you that the war on drugs had failed was because they didn't want to enact the law against drug use. So, obviously, it's the old bait and switch. They pretend that they're trying to fight a war on drugs when they're not doing it. And then, because then they can go, oh, look, we tried our best. We tried to have a war on drugs. We failed. Ah, well, sniff a line off your granddad's dick. That's the world we living in because they want degeneracy, right? And I was the same. When I was a young lad, I was never against it. I told you I decriminalise ganja, let everyone take drugs. As I've got older, I've realised, no, it should be about where it was in the 80s and the 90s. Like, if you really want them, you can get them. But this degenerate behaviour we've saw in the last 20 years has just created a society of drug-addled, perennially depressed, mentally ill weirdos and perverts. So, again, I've sort of grew out of that position. I think it's non-existent now, the prohibition on drugs. And that's why everyone's fucked up in the head, innit? And anyway, what I'm getting at is the same can be said here. You know for a fact that if we actually really wanted to solve the immigration problem, we could solve it in an hour. You know this is true. It'd be trivially easy. We already have the processes and procedures in place. We just don't follow them. And we definitely have the capability and the manpower to enforce an illegal immigrant clampdown. We've got a large military, well, not large by historical standards, but we've got, I don't know, what's a fraction of the manpower we need? 10,000 men. We've got 10,000 infantrymen and tons of boats and drones. And we could put a ring of steel around the UK within an hour. Within an hour. Easy. Don't even have to do anything, do you? Don't need to do anything. We've already got the soldiers. They're not doing very much. And all the boats are just sitting there, waiting for the next engineered minor conflict. You could stop illegal immigrants into the UK overnight, and not a single one would get in. Easy. Like I said, I wouldn't even need the army. You could use the Royal Marines. Give me 2 out of 3 commando units. So that's only about 3,000 men. And not a single one would get in. Not a single one. You'd need 20 rigid raiders and about 200 men to man them all. And then you could have 1,000 blokes manning the beaches as a visible deterrent. And then just a load of frigates and destroyers and UAVs and drones. Not a single person would get in the UK. It wouldn't even be remotely difficult. But they're not interested. So like I've just made the point with the war on drugs. Think of that, the Yanks. The Americans have got a colossal military machine that's unlike anything else in human history. It's no exaggeration. The US Navy is colossal. The US have got 10 aircraft carriers actually ready and 10 mothballed. They've got 20 aircraft carriers. The rest of the entire world combined's got about 6. It's mental. And the US go, oh, we've been trying to fight the war on drugs. If we gave global terror a week off and just smashed the drug cartels in Mexico, they could kill every single one of them in a week. It'd be trivially easy. They know who they all are. They know where they all live. They've got drones and satellites everywhere that can read the print on a newspaper you're reading in your back garden. And you think they can't find all the drug dealers. Are you having a laugh? And the manpower, SEAL teams are just sat there doing that on this Saturday. They're bored down at Coronado going for a pint because they've got nothing to do. You could just wipe them out the face of the earth. But they're not interested in doing that. Winning a war on drugs would be a piece of piss, right? And that's why I'm talking about this. This is like window dressing. Oh, we're going to meet with food delivery firms because then we'll get a grip of the illegal immigrant problem. Oh, really? Yeah. Like the real crux of the illegal immigration problem is Deliveroo. Give your head a shake. Give your head a shake. There was no Deliveroo 10 years ago, and we were still getting swamped with illegal immigrants. Deliveroo's not even a fraction of a tenth of 1% of the problem with illegal immigration. The problem with illegal immigration is they're not interested in fixing the problem. Easy. If they were, they could sort it out in no time at all. So it's all lies. It's all lies. Again, as usual. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about today, but just want to make that point. If you're labouring under the delusion that our government doesn't hate you and they'd love to sort out illegal immigration, but they just can't do it, you are as thick as dehydrated whale spunk. There's no other words for it. They could fix it in an hour. They don't need any more money. They don't need any more manpower. They don't need any more planes or tanks or boats or naval personnel to man them. They've got everything. They've got everything. So the reason illegal immigration is happening is because your leaders want it to happen. I'm not telling you this to make you think you can do something about it. I'm just telling it to piss you off. And because it's almost funny that the general public read headlines like that and go, oh man, at least the Labour government are doing something about immigration. Not like the Tories. No, none of them have done anything about immigration. They could all stop it overnight and they don't do it. So just suck it up. Until things get really, really, really bad, years away, the sheep will stay asleep and the problem will never get solved. So you just laugh at it and accept the fact that, you know, you're like Cassandra and you keep people who watch this channel, at least, minuscule fraction of the population that get the news from alternative media sources. You know what's going on, but nobody's interested in listening to what you have to say. So you just have to laugh about it, don't you? Optimism is the key. Don't have any. Cynical, good-natured pessimism is the key to happiness. That's what my channel's all about. Split your sides laughing at the thick bastards who think this isn't by design and find it funny when you see it's hilarious. It's comedy gold. split your sides laughing when you see a partially sighted dwarf copper and two little short-ass 100-pound lasses trying to fight two big Puma trackies in an airport. It's side-splitting hilarity. You wouldn't even think that you'd try it, would you? Oh no, big angry men with big beards, quick, short-arsed scrawny birds, get at them. I mean, you wouldn't dream of it. So it is funny. And this whole story is just more of the same. Messing around with the furniture on the Titanic. That's what this is. Oh, we can end it. Oh, if we get rid of Deliveroo, that'll stop 10,000 Somalians a month coming in. No, it won't. Nah, definitely do less than nout. So suck it up. Easy, innit? What else is funny? Oh yeah, this was funny. Foxy Knoxy's on Twitter. Remember Foxy Knoxy? Those of you that are over about 30 will. Remember Foxy Knoxy? Apparently she got fitted up by the Italians for killing a roommate. Turns out, I mean, it looked like there was something dodgy going on there. Maybe there was. But whatever you think went on, looking at the forensic evidence, at some point, whether or not Knoxy turned a blind eye, left the window open for him, I don't know, whatever. There were stories saying she was jealous of a roommate or something. Whatever's gone on, the bloke who did the stabbing and the bumming was this fella. So there's cheers, Trevor. There's another Bootneck membership. Thanks very much. There's the bloke who killed Meredith. So it just dawned on me. There's another tally on the butcher's bill for the third world African men moving to Europe, because everyone talks about Knoxy, and obviously it suits the powers that be to blame it all on a middle-class white woman, but the killing was done by, as in so many cases, a fella that looks like this with receding hair. Although, is he receding? He just looks a bit Cro-Magnon man to me. So that's yet another tally on the butcher's bill. And what's amusing about this story was she said, look in here. Also, so there was loads of evidence that it was him. And it says, while I was paraded in front of the world as a she-devil, Guidi slipped through the cracks, convicted of sexually assault and complicity in murder, but not breaking and entering, theft, assault with a deadly weapon, murder, and despite the overwhelming forensic evidence, Guidi was sentenced to 16 years in prison and was on day release after 10. Shocking. Imagine the death. Imagine the misery and the pain and the suffering of tens of thousands, probably millions, right? If the surprise sexing, beating, assault, burglary, torture, abuse, verbal abuse, if the amount of women affected by that, because we imported 10 million third world men to Europe, if the amount of women affected by that was only 1 million, it'd be way higher than that. I'm talking about the whole continent of Europe. But they all have friends and families and loved ones, and they have interactions with other men for the rest of their lives that'll be forever ruined, because they always think the second a bloke says, excuse me, love, have you got the time? The next thing he's going to stick his fist down the front of a knickers. Let's say it's ruined 10 million lives or touched 10 million lives. What did we get out of it? I've still not heard one single thing. Not one single thing. Nobody's ever told me anything good we got out of it. Because the one thing they tell us, cuisine, it's literally the only thing they can think of. It's preposterous. Because I remember the early 90s and you could still get Indian and Chinese and a few other ethnic foods. You could still get them. Oh, they were just less rare because they were just more rare because there wasn't 20 million illegal immigrants in the UK, but you could still get it all. So even that one doesn't count, does it? We've got all that shit. What did we get out of it? We've got no jobs for working class people. We've got millions more crimes. We've got endless suffering and misery and deprivation from the open borders. People call it the open borders experiment. It wasn't an experiment. They knew exactly what was going to happen. Definitely wasn't an experiment. It was a malevolent act of self-harm by communist revolutionaries that despise you. That's what it was. It wasn't an experiment. The gallows will return. Maybe get a few lords a leaping. Well, you know the sad thing about that is, I'd support it. And I've been pro capital punishment for years. But Peter Hitchens is writing that you couldn't really trust the government with it now, could you? Because the corruption in the justice system is so endemic, and they've lost the faith of the people so much that you couldn't trust them to administer the death penalty fairly, could you? So we're knackered, really. Oh yeah, here's something I want to show you. This is amazing, right? I absolutely love Trumpy Bear. I love him. He might have his flaws, but again, like so many of you lot, I keep telling you, the real problem people have got now is always letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. Okay, he's not perfect, but compared to what you've got in the UK, the man is a godsend. And I'm going to play you this just because I was pissing myself laughing watching it. Like, you couldn't believe a television personality who is now the president of the United States would say something like this in front of
Rosie O'Donnell's disgusting. I mean, both inside and out. You take a look at her, she's a slob. She talks like a truck driver. Rosie attacked me personally because I was very happy when her talk show failed. The other thing that failed, and this was a real monster, and everybody was suing her, was her magazine. Her magazine called Rosie was a total disaster. So I loved it. I gloat over it. I think it's wonderful because I like to see bad people fail. Rosie failed. I'm happy about it. She's basically a disaster. Well, she called me a snake oil salesman. And, you know, coming from Rosie, that's pretty low because when you look at her and when you see the mind is weak. I don't see it. I don't get it. I never understood. How does she even get on television? I believe Barbara made a terrible mistake putting her on, and I think Barbara's probably paying a big price. If I were running The View, I'd fire Rosie. I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired. We're all a little chubby, but Rosie's just worse than most.
That's just amazing, isn't it? He's the president. That is... He's like my dad. That's the best bit in it.
If I were running The View, I'd fire Rosie. I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired. We're all...
Absolutely class. I love that. I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. Amazing. I'd say, Rosie, you honking bit of kit. I wouldn't touch you with me granddad's cock. You're fired, Tubbs. Derek's a new member. Amazing. Well done, Derek. Let's watch the rest of it. I didn't actually watch past that. I just creased up laughing when I got
a little
there.
Chubby, but Rosie's just worse than most of us. But it's not the chubbiness. Rosie is a very unattractive person, both inside and out. Rosie's a person that's very lucky to have her girlfriend. And she better be careful or I'll send one of my friends over to pick up her girlfriend. Why would she stay with Rosie if she had another choice? She's trying to use ABC and The View to get even with me. But with me, we fight back. I'll probably sue Rosie because she doesn't tell the facts. As an example, I'm worth many billions of dollars. Now, she said I was bankrupt. I never went bankrupt. So probably I'll sue her because it would be fun. I'd like to take some money out of her fat ass pockets. I actually think they ought to look at her whole life and see where she's coming from because I think she's got some very deep-seated problems. Perhaps it should be Rosie that goes to rehab. Rosie is a loser.
Fantastic. Love that. Absolutely hoofing. Her fat, ugly face. He said he's on about stripping her of her citizenship as well, which is superb. I love that. So I want to do a bit of I want to segue to bigging up Trump basically because, sorry, I can't believe I used that term. Do you know what I like? What am I, a drill rapper? I want to heap some praise upon the Donald now, right? Because he's been catching a lot of flack the last couple of weeks. They reckon there's some dodgy shenanigans gone on with the Epstein shite. But again, none of us can know what happens behind the scenes. You can't, whether it's been bribed, bought, I don't know, compromised, whatever. So ultimately, you work with what you got. And the reason I'm saying this, and I appreciate him as much as I do, is because I listen to Peter Hitchens, and as you all know, some of you guys have been at this channel for 5, nearly 6 years now. I've always told you that of all of my favourite columnists, Peter Hitchens is the best. Of the 20 years I've been reading him, I think he's been wrong once. The bloke, genuinely, and I'm telling you, as someone who's read his pieces for 25 years, the bloke is a visionary genius. The man is a modern day Aristotle or Socrates or something like. The man is ridiculously farsighted. Sorry. He is gifted with tremendous foresight. The man knows what's going on. He keeps his finger on the pulse better than any other boomer, right? And he's got his flaws, yeah. Like, for example, sometimes he swears he's not a contrarian, but sometimes he's so negative you can't even get to pin him down on a position. But the one thing he pointed out, well, there's 3 things that prove it to be a modern day Nostradamus, right? First of all, his documentary Tough at the Top that he made in like 2007, saying how Cameron was a snake, he was a Blairite. Gove was a snake, he was a Blairite. The entire Tory government that won all the way back then was just a continuation of Tony Blair with a blue tie on. And I voted Conservative for about 6 years after that. Probably longer, because I came out of retirement to vote for Johnson. Embarrassingly. The bloke's always on the money. So he was ridiculously insightful on the Tories way back in the day. He was 100% correct constantly about the COVID, the whole thing, how early it was out, where it came from, there was no point in the lockdowns. Everything he said on it, he was bang on the money. And then the cherry on top today, which I just saw, I sat through the full thing of his interview with Trigonometry Lads, annoying wanker. I can stomach Constantine, but Francis Foster, he's about as funny as finding a lump on your bollocks in the shower. I can't believe, I don't consider myself to be a comedian. I'm just I don't know, not very serious YouTube current events type guy. That someone as unamusing as him can call himself a comedian is ludicrous to me. He is about as funny as watch your granddad getting bummed by 20 Somalian pirates. It's mental. But anyway, I sat through the whole thing and he was unbelievably insightful, Peter Hitchens, on Keir Starmer. He knew everything he was going to do. He knew everything he was going to do. Like, the bloke was a savant. So I was sitting there watching this going, my God, as usual, I should have just copied Peter's. I don't know, I've just got some stubborn insistence on thinking for myself. But I'll hold my hands up and say I've been wrong 6 times in the last 10 years. And whenever I've been wrong, Hitchens has been right. The bloke's a clever bastard. Anyway, he pointed out correctly, again, and I was wrong, that you should just vote Tory in the last general election because Starmer was a full-blown tyrannical, wokeist, Blairite, authoritarian sociopath. And anything he says to the contrary was all just lies. And sure enough, the bloke was just a genius. If you watch the whole thing, it's amazing how right he was. In fact, shall I just play a little bit? Because you've got to bear in mind, this is before the general election. Just listen to some of this.
what you're talking about is the destruction of British society,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. Civil society, yes. Voting is not a sacrament. It's not even a civic duty, and it's certainly not an emotional spasm. It's a practical act with a measurable effect. Work out what it is you don't want, most of all, and vote against it. And I said, the thing you really don't want, most of all, is the second half of the Blair Revolution. I think that he's a man of the pretty strong, hard left, probably well to the left of Jeremy Corbyn.
And why have the right-wing newspapers and media not exposed this?
Because they don't understand it. But if you are an ex-Trotskyist, you do know, because you can read the signs and you understand the code. It's all there.
Absolute genius. 100% correct about Starmer before he even came into office. So, again, the man is savant. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is, I was wrong, he was right. Again, I got so angry about how bad Johnson and the Tories had been. I said, right, we're all accelerationists now. We've just got to rip the Band-Aid off. And if that puts a commie in the White House, in Downing Street, so be it. But Hitchens said, no, you know what you should do? You should cling to the slow decline for as long as possible. Because people don't care and they don't listen and they never will. So at least if we get the Tories, we'll have the slow decline for another 10, 15, 20 years. He said, if you get Starmer in, it's going to be far, far, far worse than anybody possibly imagines. And was he wrong? Was he wrong? The Tories, scum that they are, they wouldn't have locked Lucy Connolly up for 3 years. That wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have got rid of the Chagos Islands and just basically pissed billions of pounds up the wall for no reason because of that Hermer, Lord Hermer, radical communist revolutionary. They wouldn't have done any of it. Like, so he was right, wasn't he? I'd rather have another 10 years of mere slow decline. And then by then, I'm knackered and old and I wouldn't be as bothered. But he's only been at it for a year. Sorry, I keep saying his name and not using my class thing. Starmer. Ha! Gay! He's only been at it for a year. He's only been getting rogered by Ukrainian rent boys for a year. And everything's gone completely tits up. And then he's gone and put an absolute Mongol in charge of the purse strings, Rachel Reeves.
She's a spastic.
That's class, that innit? I'm going to have to spend some time tomorrow getting some more videos because those two are classic, aren't they? That's perfect for Rachel Reeves. Oh, I said it again. That's perfect for Rachel Reeves.
She's a spastic.
Innit? That's perfect. Like they made it. It's like they made that film. They had a crystal ball and they knew she was going to end up the Chancellor. So they went, oh, we definitely need to have one of the skinheads do his best Spacker impression because that'll be perfect for Bootneck's live streams. Anyway, Trevor Harris, Trump likes to speak his mind. Yes, he does. Quality. Absolutely quality. Starting with fat, ugly face. Matt Smith, not the Doctor Who one, I hope. Thanks for the $2. Quiet man, same to you. You're supposed to put a question or something in there. But thanks anyway. I'll buy shitty lager with that money. So that's mad, isn't it? He was right about everything. So what I'm getting at is the Donald, despite any of his flaws, as Peter Hitchens correctly said, you have to just vote for the least worst option. And honestly, looking at how bad Starmer's been fills me with joy and the feeling that I've dodged a massive bullet that Trumpy bears running the United States. Like, he's got his flaws, but he's been amazing in so many ways. Immigration under Trump, it's unbelievable how good it's been. And that's what I'm telling you about, how it's on purpose. Like, the numbers are staggering. Staggering. Look at this one here from The Economist. Piss off. Adverts every 2 seconds nowadays. And that's the one, I mean, that one either. You look at them, and then when you try to look at them again, they go, no, pales. So, and they're not getting my money because they're lefty arseholes as well. What about this one? Oh, that's on the BBC. Christ on a bike. Who's going to let me actually show you the statistics without throwing a paywall up? You could just take my word for it. Yeah, that'll work. You know, I wouldn't tell lies to you. I haven't told anyone a lie on here, have I? Can I wonder if I can save the chart and then throw it up on the screen as... Let me try that. Piss off. Always. Anyway, the numbers are amazing, and that's what I'm trying to get to. Basically, he took immigration to the lowest in like 50 years. Probably longer. I think it hasn't been this low since the 70s or something. Biden had something like, what, 200,000 a month coming in was I think a low ball figure. That's the official numbers. Some people think it could be as high as 300,000 or 400,000 and 20 million that have come into the country. So no one really knows the official numbers. But what they do know is dropped them by 90%. Like, stupidly effective. But this is what I'm talking about earlier, but it's on purpose. Within a week of him coming in, we went from 300,000 encounters on the border to 2,000. Like, that's how good he was on immigration. And the amazing thing about that thing is, ICE raids have been so successful since he came in. They're trying to use the deep state to stop it, which is one of the good stories here was from NPR about how federal judges trying to stop them doing immigration raids in LA because they've been so successful. It's improving our lives immeasurably. Like, my missus was telling me today that they've all started using apps because they're all terrified of ICE turning up. So this is hilarious. So some of the locals who are American citizens, when they go somewhere and there's too many people, because this is one of the big things about quality of life with mass immigration getting driven down, some of the citizens turn up. If they go to Walmart and there's way too many people there on a Saturday afternoon, they download the app as well. And then they go on there and they go, oh, hey everyone, I just seen 3 ICE vans pull up outside Walmart. And the next thing, the Walmart just empties. There's like 1,000 people just run off because they don't want to get caught. And everybody in there is like, stress-free shopping. It's amazing, isn't it? Joe, thanks for the gifted membership. Matt Smith, thanks for coming here and doing this. Hope I keep doing it. I will until Susan sends the boys round. Oh no, hang on. I already outlived one nemesis. So, nice one. That's what you get when you mess with Bootneck. I've already outlived one nemesis. It's Neil now, innit? It's Neil. I just have to keep plugging along. And hopefully Neil will shuffle off the mortal coil himself as well. Well, I'll work through them all until I'm left the last man standing. Cheers. But this is what's going on. He's done amazing. He's done amazing with this one thing. And crikey, Muttley's at it as well. 10 Bootneck memberships. Grab them while they're hot, boys and girls. And then remember, don't re-up them later, you tight bastards. Don't worry about that. Anyway, so basically, he's done a great job. Has he got his failings? Yeah. But this is something that you can do within an hour of getting into office if you've got the will, as I discussed earlier. And it has probably the single best tangible effect on your life that I think you can do as an easy win. And if anyone in the chat wants to try and change my mind, you tell me something. Tell me something you can do. Same day you get into office, because you've seen the numbers, 300,000 to 2,000. So a 99% decrease in illegal immigration. You tell me one thing an elected official can do which has more of a profound effect on working class people's lives than ring of steel for a border. Because I can't think of anything. I consider myself quite politically astute. I can't think of anything that has a more profound effect on working class people than the ring of steel. It's amazing. It's amazing. Even me, I've noticed in the last few months how it has got better. Because they reckon all the migrants, the illegals, are hiding in their houses and scared to go out now. And I've noticed the last few times I've been out, been nice and quiet. There's less traffic. Honestly, there's less litter. There's less queues. There's less crowds. I went to the hospital. I shared the story a few months. Let me see if I can find it on my Twitter. I shared a photo on my stream, on my X. I might be able to find it quite easily because I don't go on there that often, posting. There was nobody there. I went to a hospital out here because my missus was going to get a yearly physical or whatever it was. And I went for a pint and some scran across the road. And when I'd finished, I walked over and just sat in the waiting room waiting for her. And I couldn't believe how nice it was. I was like, this is amazing, this. And they said it's because when I said to the woman in there, I was like, is it always this quiet? She said it's been a lot quieter lately. And a lot of people think it's because of Trumpy. He thinks they're all paranoid that ICE are out there looking for people. And they're really putting a lot of effort into rounding up the illegals. So it's noticeably it's let some steam out. It has a massive, massive, massive effect on your quality of life. And that's just basic stuff, just basic quality of life, like not being stuck in traffic, not seeing loads of litter, not having to deal with massive crowds everywhere you go. That's really simplistic, basic stuff. I'm not even starting on the big things, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, crime or employment statistics or the rise in the wages when all the companies can't just get people illegally. There's so many things that get visibly, massively improved by ruthlessly enforcing the border. I wouldn't even know where to start with it. Here it is, I found it. Look at that. That was the waiting room on a Saturday afternoon in I wouldn't say bog standard. It's a nice area where we went. Near the Mum's house, Covina in LA. But that was the waiting room on a Saturday afternoon. It's like no one there. It was immaculate. The canteen next door was amazing. The burritos were class in there. Nobody in there. Immaculate fountain outside. No litter. And they said it's because all the immigrants are hiding. They're not all in there going, mita, you fix, you pay. It's like the Marleys in the NHS. Have you ever seen a hospital like that in the UK in the last 10 years? Have you? I went to Middlesbrough General. You should have seen the clip of it. You go to Middlesbrough General now, there's 200 Marleys in there. They've got like gunshot wounds and shit because they were just, hijacking shipping lanes. And that was immaculate in there. Absolutely spanking. No litter. Fountain outside. Beautiful canteen. Spanking. Air conditioned. Perfect. So you tell me in the chat, anyone, have you got a single policy that you could do at a stroke of a pen like Trumpy Bear did in one day, which costs you nothing? Can you think of a single other policy? It could be anything that does more for working class people than enforcing the law on immigration. Because I can't. I bet you I can name 10 things it visibly improves. Let's just do it. 10 things that would be visibly improved if the UK government just suddenly rounded up and deported 1 million illegal men. You could do it easy. You got the numbers, you got the manpower, you got the boats, you got the planes. You don't need to do anything. 1 million men. I'm not even going to pick on the women because, statistically, obviously, I don't think all the illegal women should be there. But statistically, you know me, I'm a pragmatic man. I'm a pragmatic bootneck. Let's just go with instantly deports 1 million hairy-ass fighting age illegals in the UK. what would get better, right? Wages would go up because they can't get all their illegal migrant works. There'd be less litter, there'd be less traffic, there'd be less queues, there'd be less surprise sex incidents, there'd be way lower crime in general, there'd be more council houses, there'd be more NHS beds, there'd be less religiously indoctrinated killers, less suicide bombers, less groomers. I mean, there you go, there's 11. It's amazing. It doesn't cost anything. Rent would go down, property prices would drop. There's no downsides to it. There's no down. Name me one. There's 1,000 people in the chat there. Name me one downside to throwing out 1 million illegal migrant men. Name me one. Anything? The downside. Your cuisine, no, because it's 2025. Don't tell me any of them illegals have set up a restaurant. They might be working in them, but the bloke who owns it and started it, he's legal. So there's nothing. There's nothing. So there we go. Easy. Easy to do. 1,000 people in the chat, I'm 4 of them. Well done, CM Designer. You might not get 4 times the entertainment, but I'm sure YouTube will give me 4 times the credit for it. Might send a few more people this way. As I've said, joking aside about the membership thing, it isn't about the money. It's about the lack of bans, because I got a strike on my channel again, like last month. If that was 2 years ago, they would have deleted me. They would have banned me for 2 weeks instead of just give me a warning. As it stands, I'm only on a warning. So I'm pretty happy about that. When does it expire? Let's have a look. Channel violations, here we are. Active community guidelines strikes. Warning, violation. And that was bollocks. The Hills have allies. Harassment and cyberbullying. I was laughing at mugshots. I was laughing at mugshots of convicted felons. And because I said one of them was a porridge-brained simpleton or whatever, they went, oh, that's harassment and cyberbullying. I was like, really? Can you pick on felons, can you, if you're laughing at mugshots? If someone said to Jeffrey Dahmer, oh, look at the clip of his hair. Well, did he cut that himself in the shed? What, would they get banned for harassment and cyberbullying? So this whole thing's a joke. But what I'm getting at, okay, that expires August 28th, so I've still got a while. I completed the policy training, total fiction, and I didn't do any harassment or cyberbullying. And obviously the appeal was instantly rejected 10 seconds after I put it in without anybody looking at it. It's all lies. It's all fiction. But what I'm getting at is, if I didn't have the membership, I guarantee they would have deleted me, because that's what they do. So that's why we need members, because YouTube get a percentage, and all the scum in Silicon Valley care about is the dollar. And the fact that they know that they'll get 20% of all my super chats and memberships is the only reason this channel still exists. So thanks to everyone for that, all right? I don't really need the money. I work full time, but that's why we do it, okay? So I do appreciate it. Back to Trumpy Bear. Trump authorises ICE agents to protect themselves using whatever means necessary, again, because he actually cares about his people, unlike the British government, who, when I was in Afghanistan, clearly gave more of a shit about the Taliban than they did about my mates, and that's why several of my colleagues got killed. 100% was the fault of the British government and their policies. I've ranted about it before, so I won't repeat myself, but I'm telling you, definitely on purpose, killed Royal Marines on purpose because the government was assisting and aiding the enemy. Look at that. Muttley can buy a few patches for that receding airline, right? I'm 45 years old, and considering I'm 45, well, okay, yeah, my hair's a bit thinning. I guarantee the fact that you've got a chip on your shoulder about it, you were cue ball by 30, all right? So don't pick on a handsome bastard like me just because at the ripe old age of 45, I've got a little bit of residual going on. In many ways, it makes me look better because I had a 3-head when I was a kid. My hairline went down to about there. My missus swears I look better with receding hair than I did when I was 25. Oh yeah, here he is. Muttley reckons he's got a perm like Frodo Baggins. Well, we'll see. I reckon you don't look like David Hasselhoff. We'll see when I finally get back to the UK for this meet. It will happen this year. Worst case scenario, because I can't get any time off work. Worst case scenario will be November, December, but it will happen. I'll make sure it happens and everyone can come along and we can all point and laugh at Muttley because I've probably got more hair than him. And all the other necky bastards who call me ugly, I cannot wait to see some of your howling, honking grids in person. Codhead Dave always calls me ugly. I cannot wait to see him in person. I guarantee he's got a head like a melted welly. He's got a face like a welder's bench. Like I said, he'd go on a double date with Simon Weston, and Westy would be the looker. So there we go. Anyway, that's nearly an hour. I suppose you can have that for now. Let's just sum up, right? The main point of this stream was Hitchens is always right. Hitchens said, if you can escape, you should do. And if you can't, batten down the hatches. And he's right. And Hitchens said, you'd be better off with a Conservative government than a Starmer one. And he was right. Because Starmer's first year has been not just catastrophic, but generationally catastrophic. We won't be able to ever walk back some of those some of those naked acts of purposeful hatred, like giving away the Chagos Islands or letting in another 100,000 dinghy divers. These mistakes will never get rectified. So as a direct result of a Starmer government for a year, tens of thousands of women are going to get sexually assaulted. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to get robbed, stolen from, stabbed, beaten up. Millions of people earn less money, can't get a council house, can't get a doctor's appointment, can't get a dentist appointment, nothing. And it's just misery and suffering and just total shambles. So he was right. God bless him. Right, who should I give a shirt to? I'll tell you what. Matt Smith, he's given me money twice. Thanks for coming here and doing this. And he's polite. So well done, Matt Smith. Send me your details in a private message to, I'll tell you what, I can put it on the screen, can't I? I'll put it on the screen, that's easily done. Where's my banners? State-funded struggle snuggles, that's an old one. Slav Lives Matter, these are all old, aren't they? What else have I got? I don't use these very often. Let that sing in. I think that was some surprise sex getting done by a bloke called Sing. There we are. There's my email address. Send an email to that and shoot me your size and your colour of choice and I'll ping you a t-shirt, all right? One of these. Although if you really want something else, click on the link in the description and pick something else. There's plenty of shirts on there, but the Alan Snack Bar one featuring my jihadi waffle has been far more successful than everything else. So do that and I'll wing a t-shirt to you. To everybody else, thanks for tuning in as always. Thanks for all the super chats and the members and all that bollocks. I'll make some more content. I'll get it out there and I'll see you all tomorrow or Monday. All right? Thanks for tuning in. See you all very soon. Keep your chins up. Have a drink. And I'll talk to you next week. Toodle pip. Cheers.